ChatGPT. Everybody's heard of it, and you've probably even used it once or twice, but you wonder how you could be using it better. I have 25 great tips for you for all of the things that you can really do with it today. Some of them are paid, but very few. Almost all of this is open to everyone. And stick around to the end. I have 3 super tips that I swear by. This is going to be super fast. I'm sorry about that, but there are just so many things to get through. You wouldn't think ChatGPT was good at this many things. As I was building the list, I couldn't stop adding new items to it. So buckle in, let's have a good ride together, and I'll see you on the other end of it. Let's go. Okay, here we are in ChatGPT. You can just go to chat.com and it'll take you right here, but I highly advise that you log in. A lot of these things will not be available to you until you log in. You don't have to pay for anything. Give them any email address, whatever you want to do, log in with your Google account. So let's get started with the beginning tips. Just the how do you get started? What's it useful for? This one seems obvious. It's really not obvious. Ask it everything. In Chrome, how do I create groups of open tabs? Super easy. It's going to give you great, simple, step-by-step instructions. My kids' names are Jack and Jackson. Give me nicknames so I can remember who's who. Jay, Jax, Jackie, Little J, Ace. Give me 3 ways in a bullet list so I can prevent my socks from separating in the wash. New chat. Always start fresh. All of these little chat windows that you have going here and the messages that you have in them create a context that ChatGPT is answering from. So it's kind of remembering everything in that conversation to continue the conversation going. So if you told it to call you Bob at one point, your name's not Bob, happens more often than you might think. Then if you start a new chat, ChatGPT will stop calling you Bob. Okay, here it is. It knows me as Bob. Let's start a new chat. Oh, you get an extra tip. Look at that. Ding, ding, ding. ChatGPT keeps memory on you. If you log in, it tries to remember a little bit about you. Let's take a look at what it knows about me. Go into Settings, check Personalization, and click Manage. Sometimes it remembers things
between the tabs.
Creating a new tab is really important. It keeps everything clean and keeps your context much smaller about the questions you're asking about, but sometimes ChatGPT remembers too much. So you need to come in here and say, oh my gosh, I told it my name is Bob as a joke. I need to get rid of that. There you go. I'm no longer Bob, but Bob does find games scary. Let's go see. Start a new chat. You haven't told me your name yet. Does Bob like games? Bob finds games scary. Me too. Here's an easy one. People don't know it's there. Really useful. Eventually you're going to pile up with all these old chats. Just search for them. It's real easy. Let's take a look. Hey, we have 3 things we're talking about, Bob. How about cookies? Ah, look, there it is. Easy. Ooh, our first gold star tip. Okay, voice chat. Now, a lot of people maybe have heard of voice chat, maybe tried it once real briefly. Let me tell you, I've driven whole car rides having a conversation with ChatGPT. It's kind of wonderful. Let's just hit this little waveform button down here. Hey, chat, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking. How about you?
Oh man, I'm doing awesome. I got so many tips and tricks. What's your favorite feature of ChatGPT?
That's awesome to hear. I'd say my favorite feature is being able to have dynamic conversations and help out with a wide range of topics.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're telling me as advanced voice mode, your favorite feature is advanced voice mode?
Well, advanced voice mode is definitely a highlight because it makes our conversations feel more natural and engaging. What's your favorite part about it?
So many things. I've got like 30 things, maybe 25 things, but I have 3 extra tips for it. I have a lot of tips, man. I got to get to those tips right now. You okay if I leave?
Absolutely. Go for it. Have fun with your tips and tricks.
Okay, time to look into transforming. It's one of the things that ChatGPT does really well that people don't necessarily think about. I have some content from the web and I don't want all the extra stuff around it. I just need the content. Let's take a look. Okay, here we are on a recipe. Command A, I'm going to select everything. Command C, I copy everything. Let's head back to ChatGPT. I'm just going to paste it straight in and oh, you get an extra tip. It's the second extra tip. All right, here we go. Take a look. At the bottom of this, after I pasted it in, I put a little line in here. It does help sometimes to separate the thing you're talking about when you have context that you're giving to the system and what you're trying to say. Okay, we pasted the whole thing in and we're saying, give me the recipe in the simple format, use tables and emoji for fun. Oh, you get another special extra tip. I think that's number 4, number 3, number 4. I don't know. It's one of these. I gotta go fast, I'm sorry. So all I'm gonna do, very simple. You've probably found this already. Not really a tip, but it is what it is. There's this button in the top left up here that'll close the sidebar. I know, it's not really all that special, but let's take a look. Now when we scroll down, let's see if it got the recipe right. Look at this. I do like the emojis. Sorry, that's just me. Oh, you get the third extra tip, which is the fifth. I can't keep count any longer, okay? So you get another extra tip. I want to bring the sidebar back. Yeah, of course. I know you're saying just click the little cool button that we just learned about. Look at that, back and forth and back and forth. Works great. Very cool. There's other ways too. Oh, ChatGPT has a whole bunch of keystrokes that you can use. This one helps quite a bit. I'm going to use, on a Mac, Command, I think it's Control on Windows, and a question mark. Command, question mark, brings up all of the keyboard shortcuts. And the one that we're looking at here is toggle sidebar. Command Shift S. So at any given time, I can just hit Command Shift S, comes, goes. It's a little fun game that I like to play. I don't have time. Got to keep going. Let's go. This one's nerdy again. You ever get one of those web errors, or in your application you have an error that doesn't make a lot of sense, or you're trying to build the system and it throws out this big ugly? Even if it doesn't know what you're doing, what system you have, what your code looks like, ChatGPT does a pretty darn good job of trying to figure out what's going on. All right, reformat this error. Help me understand what it's trying to tell me. So it does a pretty good job of reformatting it. I'd much rather see it that way. The reformat alone is what it's worth. So I like that part. Okay, here's another one of those examples, very much like the recipe that we looked at. But this one is if you have your data from some other application. Let's say you got it from contacts and you pulled it all in, you just selected everything and copied it, and it's in a big messy format. Here we go. I want to see this formatted, of course. Format this, please. Make it awesome and pretty. I kind of like to challenge ChatGPT to see how much fun it can actually have sometimes. I think maybe it gets bored.
Everybody's just saying, hey, can you tell me what my name is? Can you tell me what my name is?
This is what I do to make him happy. No. This is what I do, hoping ChatGPT is a little happier. Not bad. Looks pretty good. I kind of wanted it as a table. Let's try that. Table, please. Easy peasy. All right, let's get technical here. A little bit of the nerdy stuff again. If you're a developer at all, or you think you might want to be, or at least have an idea for a program, ChatGPT is a pretty good place to start. It can definitely program. Let's see what it can do. Write me a Python program to make it rain for 5 seconds in my terminal. Full disclosure, I don't even know how to do this. Okay, let's see if that worked. Hey, this is actually awesome. It did not work, but I have a very simple error message. Let's drop it in here and see what it can do. I think it got it that time. Let's take a look. Okay, here we are in my terminal. Five seconds. Perfect. Wow. Okay, you got a hint of one of the future tips just in that one. I'm going to hold it off for a second though. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, if anybody's ever had to dive down to shell or terminal, it can be very concerning if you're not really aware of what's going on in there. And even when you do get used to it and kind of comfortable, you always feel kind of nervous about exactly what you're putting in there because it could actually do real damage. ChatGPT can definitely help with terminal, both describing what commands do, what the different parameters are, and even giving you the whole command. Let's take a look at renaming a whole folder in Terminal. It seems real easy in something like Find or Explore, not so easy in Shell. In Terminal, how do I rename a folder? Excellent. So it's saying use the move command, old folder name, new folder name. Let's try it. Here I am in a directory. It has a folder named Stuff. I don't need it to be called Stuff. Now it's called New Stuff. Thank you, ChatGPT. But maybe you wonder if there's more things you can do with that MV command that we just learned about. Let's ask ChatGPT. It knows everything? Hey, are there any arguments to the MV command? Wow. ChatGPT also excels at analysis. Give it a file, give it a bunch of data, ask for its insights, maybe create some charts. It's really fascinating stuff. But another bonus tip here, I didn't have a file to do this with. Who am I going to ask? Ghost. Oh yeah, ChatGPT. So that's what I did. You can see here that I said, hey, ChatGPT, I need a sample file to build some sample analysis on. Please save the day. ChatGPT's on it. Okay, so this is kind of excellent. It says I've generated the sample data. Download it here. All right, so that there's no mixing of context, just like one of our earlier points. Let's start a new chat. Give it the file that we just got. New York real estate. That seems like it. Hey, ChatGPT, do your thing. I heard your magic with this analysis stuff. Bring the extra goodly insights you have for this data. I also love charts, and I love them when they're crazy colorful. Go nuts. Wow. Okay, so it definitely did its thing. I'm going to pretend like this was A-okay. I love it. I don't know that I trust it because I don't know the data. And I would have to use ChatGPT to figure out if ChatGPT was right. That just seems wrong. Let's move on. ChatGPT has a lot of different models. Models are just basically different brains. That feels terrible. I think of ChatGPT as kind of my friend. So, not brains, different modes. Different ways it thinks, how hard it thinks, how quickly it gives the answer, how much it cares it gives you the wrong answer, those kinds of things. And it actually knows how to draw a little bit too. First, we'll ask the typical ChatGPT that we've been seeing. Sounds pretty good, right? But if we come down here, you can see that this one was served by the 4.0 model. There's one called 4.0 Mini. In reality, 4.0 Mini is just very fast compared to 4.0. It doesn't quite give the same personality. That's some of the thing that was simplified. And it also isn't going to give you quite as much depth in some of its answers. Some of the areas it's not going to be as smart in. Another one that you can use is O3 Mini. Now, O3 is kind of a thinking model. It should give you a much better answer in cases where thinking a little bit more about a problem is needed. There it is reasoning. It only reasoned for a couple seconds because I think this was a super simple question. However, the answer here looks already a lot better to me. This looks much more like a full report to me. There are different models. If you don't know which one does what, I don't know, maybe you'd Google for which model? No. Look, it's also worth saying right up front, you can click the reason button. So if you just need reasoning, start a new chat, you'll see the reason button, you're good to go. All right, time to get personal. Personal with ChatGPT, of course. So what we're doing here is we're trying to give ChatGPT a personality that befits either the situation that you're in, the question that you're asking, or how you'd like it to respond to you, or the kind of personality you want it to have when you're having conversations with it. First, let's start with just starting at any given time in a chat. You can give a personality, or a persona is what we generally call these, to the model when it works out your problem. It won't remember this with a new chat. Remember, opening new chats throws away all this context, and that's kind of the use of opening a new chat. So in one window or one chat, I might be able to say something like, "You're an expert in physics, and I'm your interested but failing high school student." Got it. Don't worry, physics can be tough, but we'll tackle it together. Okay, let's ask it a physics question. Got any? How should I come up with a physics question? Oh, I got it. New chat. Give me an easy physics concept to pose back to you in another chat, so you can describe it to me there. How about Newton's first law of motion? It's simple, but fundamental. Try bringing it up in another chat and I'll explain it in more detail. That's fantastic. Let's go back to our other chat. Okay, maybe this wasn't the best question because you would have gotten the answer back either way, but I think the personality that we got back was a little bit different, talking to us like we're a high schooler that's having trouble and not like we're a graduate student in physics. That's kind of useful. It's hard to discern here. However, let's move on. We'll see a little bit more about this. All right, this next one's interesting. Custom instructions. What you get to do is you get to set up the way that ChatGPT answers your questions. So this is kind of going back into the settings that we saw before, and you're going to make one little change in there, and ChatGPT is going to use that information every time that it replies to you. Let's take a look at this. If you head over to personalization, you'll see this top item is called custom instructions. It has a few things that you can fill out, like what should ChatGPT call you? We know the answer to that. Now they have a couple pills down here that we can kind of select. And boy, can I not wait to try Gen Z and forward thinking. Under advanced are the different features that ChatGPT will offer you. If you turn these off, you just won't have the ability to use these at all. Okay, I admit, I'm very interested. Let's find out what a forward-thinking Gen Z AI thinks of college seemingly becoming the new high school. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's give it a shot. Tell me what you think about college seemingly becoming the new high school.
Honestly, it does feel like college is turning into a new high school in a lot of ways. Kind of like how a high school diploma was a few years ago.
Now, I will say they don't feel very Gen Z to me. I don't exactly know what I expect from Gen Z. Maybe this is very Gen Z. There you go. Now you know how to use custom instructions. You can put in some really silly stuff like always talking limericks, those kinds of things, if you really want to try it out. We're almost there. Are we? I don't know if we are or not, actually. Okay, here's another one. Ask ChatGPT about itself. It doesn't seem obvious, but asking ChatGPT what ChatGPT can do, or basically asking for advice about the advice that it can possibly give, actually works really well. It's a great place to start on a brainstorming experience. Let's give it a shot. How can you help me design a new process for taking notes? First, tell me what's not working. How do you usually take notes? What's your goal? How much effort do you want to put in? This is great. So it's actually getting into a prompt mode. It doesn't always do this. Frankly, sometimes it comes out with a whole bunch of simple little options. Here's a pattern that we might be able to take. Here's another pattern or another pattern. Which one of these would you like to follow? It's actually really good when you kind of come back to it without an answer. You're not saying, I absolutely need you to give me this in this way. That way it feels a little bit like you're telling yourself the answer to things. What you want to do is approach ChatGPT like it actually has answer that you're unaware of, or it even has a set of processes that you don't know exist. Talk to it like it's someone that has its own set of experiences, because in fact, it has all of our experiences from the internet in here. So it knows a lot and it can kind of lean into a lot of stuff that you've never seen, but you have to let it. If you tell it what to tell you back, that is what you will get back. Okay, here's another one, response format. Sometimes you need to tell ChatGPT how you'd like something back. It can do a lot. We've seen it do tables, we've seen it do charts. It can do blog posts, it can do any kind of format that you've seen pretty much. You just need to let it know, I want it like a scientific paper. No, I want it like a blog post. No, I want it like something you'd see on Reddit. Those things actually change the content enough that you really will get back something that you didn't anticipate and be able to see more in it. In fact, a very fun experience I had the other day was I kind of told it about the notes that I took in a meeting, and here are the meeting minutes. And then I later came back and said, hey, can you reformat this thing and organize it by category of things that we discussed? And it rearranged the meeting notes all together in a meaningful way. I thought I had organized it perfectly, and this really helped isolate what we were really talking about at different times. So let's take a look at one. I want to help others learn how wonderful getting a rescue dog is. Help me create something around this, format it like a blog post. Okay, this is wonderful. It really wrote a beautiful blog post about rescue dogs and why they're great. Let's see it on something that maybe is a little less traditional. Remember that recipe that we made, that we got off the web and told it to reformat? Let's just tell it to do it like a blog post. There you go. Okay, this one's a little bit harder to get across, but a lot of people seem to make this mistake. You can't just ask the base question. If you do ask the most basic version of a question, you're going to get the most basic version of the answer. If you start putting your interests into it, you will absolutely see tremendous value out the other side compared to just saying, oh, tell me about cucumbers. Okay, tell me about cucumbers? The typical, it's still excellent, not surprising, but it's the typical information about cucumbers. They're hydrating and refreshing. That's wonderful. This really isn't contextualized to what I really need to know. Let's try this a little bit more personalized. I hate vegetables. They're the worst kind of food. I'm generally very happy, but vegetables make me kind of sad. Tell me about cucumbers. They're watery, crunchy fruit, often mistaken for a vegetable, that grow on vines. Look at that. It already knows, and it's contextualized it for what I want. But it is nice enough to ask, if they make you sad, I totally get why you'd want to avoid them. Do you have a favorite type of food you'd rather talk about? Thanks, ChatGPT. Okay, let's talk about images. ChatGPT has images. It uses DALL-E. DALL-E is not the strongest vision or image system out there. There's others. So if you're really interested in high quality images, there are other places that I would advise looking, but it really is very good. And it's in line with all of the other places that you're doing stuff. Makes it very easy to use. Let's give it a shot. Generate a two-tone illustration of an early cartoon similar to early Popeye. It's actually pretty quick. And boy, let's say similar. That's similar at least, all right? So in any case, it can do these very easily. Let's try to turn that into a clip art. Womp womp. This is a good example. We're in a language model. When you want it to do image kind of stuff, you very well may need to say, I want you to create a clip art image from that image. Just saying, turn that into clip art, it kind of says, oh, do you want instructions on how to do this? So here we go. Let's try that again. By the way, don't expect much. Okay, let's see. Sure. Okay. But let's take a look at the original image anyway, because this is actually kind of nice about the way that it handles images. Roll back up. You'll see that there's a download link right here. You can click it anytime and start downloading the file. That's actually kind of nice. You can also right click on it and copy the image if you have a place that you can paste it. The next one, editing images. I'm sorry, I didn't mark this one as a pay feature. Didn't realize it was, but it apparently is. I've had to flip over to my actual account to kind of see how this works. Let's generate the image again. Oh, ding, ding, you get another interesting, I'm sorry, I was a little bit surprised by that. You get another interesting tip or hint here. ChatGPT does A/B testing where they're trying to improve parts of their system, and they will give you this every now and then and say, which one do you prefer? Choose the one you would actually prefer. It really does help. It's actually one of the signals that they use to choose the next changes to their models and their application itself, to ChatGPT itself. It's definitely worth it. But let's pick the one that's better. Whew. Okay, with an image in the pay model, if I select it, we're in a much smaller screen, so it's hard to necessarily tell, but this is opened up in a side-by-side editor. We'll see more about that in a second. Hang on. But here we get an extra set of buttons. We can still download it, but up top there's something called Select. Okay, I've selected his hands, and now I want to change that selection. Okay, I don't know how you feel about it. That's called in-painting. There are other models out there, other systems that you might want to look into if you're really serious about graphics and doing things like this. I think OpenAI is trying to get a lot better in this space, but it's challenging and they have a lot of things going on, and images may not necessarily be their major value in the future. Let's move on. Use images when you're communicating with ChatGPT. Take a picture of the application that you're using. I have an image on my clipboard. This is confusing. Simplify and explain, please. The purple donut-shaped area in the middle is plasma. Plasma is a super hot electrically charged gas where a fusion reaction happens. Magnetic fields. These are used to help keep the plasma from touching the walls. I've got another picture of a can and the ingredients on the back of the can. You'll see that in a second. I give it a bunch of context, as we've seen, of what I'm interested in, what is confusing to me, and how I want the data back. Everything we've learned so far is going on in here right now. Let's take a look. Key things that stand out. Sugar, 54 grams. That's a lot. Caffeine, main stimulant, B vitamins, surprises, chlorine and caffeine, extra hidden caffeine beyond the 160 milligrams noted. Excellent job of breaking down everything just from this image with a whole bunch of small print on it. Very cool. Use images, but use them everywhere. Use all kinds of images. What tree is this? Where am I? Those kinds of questions all actually work quite well. A couple of the things coming up are pay items. The first one is projects. In general, it's folders. I come to projects, I hit plus, my new thing. All right, we're gonna create our project. Easy enough. We all of a sudden have a project. It's a folder here. I can change the color of the folder. That's the customization you get to do. There are a few things. You can add instructions on this. That's one thing that you can do. And another one, and this is the one that's probably most interesting, is you can add files. And this allows you to drag files in and say, oh, from my machine, let's add our New York City real estate information, and that'll always be in here. Now that we have files, any chat I have, what area in New York City is most expensive, and tell me how you know. And you can see it's analyzing, it's looking inside of the files that we have inside of this project now, and not just searching. This one does say an average price of square footage and those kinds of things, and it is from our file, which is very cool. So projects are just a way to keep things collected, keep doing the same searches or the same kind of information in one place. That project might help. In fact, I've had a project in the past that was all of the places that I like to go run, the different routes that I run, and all those kinds of things. And then I could just drop into that folder and say, I'm looking for about a 4-mile run. You got an idea? Or, hey, I'm really interested in an area that has a lot of trees. Tell me about a place I can go run. And it knows about the things I'm interested in. It doesn't just search the internet. Oh, I believe we're almost done. I really think we're almost there. I gotta go. CustomGPTs. All right, projects are one side of the coin. CustomGPTs are kind of the other side of the coin. They do a lot of very similar kinds of work. What you can do is explore GPTs, is you could create a GPT around one piece of context. Like, I have one file, I only want that GPT to always use that one file. I'm going to be able to ask questions similar to projects. So GPTs really have their value. The other things that they really have is, if you get advanced in them, the custom GPT is the way that you can enable using ChatGPT to call external tools and external data sources. Let's say you're playing a game. You like Catan. So you decide to come down and get the Catan assistant. What this guy knows is he knows the rules to Catan, and you can kind of come in and say, I'm in a fight with my sister about when I can use my wood. What are the rules? And this guy can help. Sometimes if you're playing a game, it's really nice to have something sitting next to you that you can say, wait a second, if it's the end of my term, am I still allowed to do this, or did I have to do it only at the beginning? Okay, here's another one. We've already seen it a couple times. Canvas. Canvas is basically a side-by-side editor where the content stays on one panel, and the text that we usually have in these messages that we're going back and forth with ChatGPT just stream past in another panel. I'll show you that by writing a poem. Let's write a poem in a canvas. What, am I kidding? I'm not going to write you the poem. I'm going to get him to write us the poem. Okay, I don't have enough time. I got to move on. Okay, So this is the poem. It's in a canvas. It's hard to tell because we're in a much smaller window. Let me reduce the font size a little bit. It's going to get a little messy, but you'll see that it's side by side and how it would look inside of the system. So this is kind of how it would look if you were interacting with it. You could say, how many characters is this? Because I believe you're supposed to write poetry by the character. I think, right? Oh, the best poetry. Hop on hop. See, hop, hop. Yes. 696, 666, 69. I gotta go. Let's go. All right. We're really getting to the end here. We're almost at the very, very end. There's this thing called summoning. So summoning is a way to bring some of the features forward while you're in this text area that you're typing to ChatGPT. I'd like to write a poem with you, but let's use, hold up. Last time I used the word canvas, I just typed in canvas. Honestly, that's about 50-50. Many times it skips that. It misses that I'm talking about canvas. If I hit the slash key, I can tell it to use canvas. Let's see what else. Okay, let's see. There's pictures, search, canvas. I want flashy shoes. Slash search turns on the search button. There's one other type. If you use the @ key, you can summon forward some of the custom GPTs that you've interacted with. We gotta go. Okay, this is like tip 24. I don't even know. It's something ridiculous. But apps. They have apps on the desktop. They have apps on your phone. When you use the app on the desktop, it does have one kind of special feature. There's a hotkey. It will bring up this little window. And it's a floating window that always stays over the top, which is very nice. It keeps context with the application in the background. Now, I will add an extra bonus tip. So that makes this tip 72, I think, or something like that. Down here at the bottom, you will see this interesting little icon. It's basically saying, let us see an application. If I click on this, you'll see the applications that it has the capacity to look into and activate. Very neat. It is one of the things you can do in a desktop app that you can't do on the web. Get the apps. Okay, we have come to the last standard tip, and it's about the easiest. The tip is, this stuff is changing all of the time. If you ask it a question and it can't do it, that is not the end of the story. All of us have, let's call it experience with some of these digital voice assistants that we've used. Yeah, so they haven't been able to answer the same question for 10 years. They really had a promise, right? And then all of a sudden it kind of freaked out and started saying, I don't know, look at your phone. Why are you asking me? And it did that for another decade. That is not the case with ChatGPT. That is not the case with any of these LLMs. They are changing super frequently. In fact, while we were demoing this, while we were looking through this, we saw it do an A/B test to figure out which one of these do you like the most. We're trying to change things on the fly regularly. So always come back. Try again and again and again and again and again. Okay, look, we got to move on. We got the super tips. Here we go. Okay. The first super tip is my biggest tip. Period. No question. This seems crazy. You can do this on your phone. I literally never do this on my phone. Dictation. Now, dictation is enableable by your operating system. It's an assistive technology. This is a superpower. Go enable it. In Mac, all you have to do is go into your system settings, go into keyboard. At the bottom of that, it will be dictation. Turn it on. I put it on a double tap of my globe key, but you can move around the keys that you want to double tap or whatever it is. How you enable it, that matters. You want to be able to bring it up very, very quickly. And let me tell you, honest to gosh, this is worth 12 of the other tips in this video. This is the tip. Watch this. Okay, so here we are. ChatGPT, gonna ask it a question. I barely know what I'm gonna ask it. I kind of want to know something about, well, I don't know. Let's do some animals. Let's do the Serengeti. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to name some animals. Don't take it out on me that don't grow up in the Serengeti. I don't really know. So maybe that's what I ask it. Neat thing about ChatGPT, all of this, it can deal with. Take a look. Hey, I'm kind of interested in Serengeti animals. Maybe not animals. Yeah, so maybe predators? Wait, let's do some analysis. Are there more predators on the Serengeti than there are non-predators? That wouldn't make a lot of sense, would it? That would mean all the predators have to attack each other? Are predators of one another? I don't really know how that works out. Give me some kind of chart or table or something that describes basically the percentage of different animals that exist on the Serengeti. I don't even know what I'm saying. So make it great, make it pretty, do what I want without me knowing what the heck I am talking about. Thanks. Come on. Are you kidding me? Look at the outcome. This is what I'm talking about. This is a superpower. I'll tell you another way that I use this dictation. I use it in a lot of places. I write code with it. I've been writing code my entire life. It's not that short. Crickets. Cricket. Did I find a cricket sound effect? Maybe I didn't. Did you hear him? Cricket. Okay. So I've been writing code my entire life. I now write code with dictation half of the time. It's brilliant. The other way that I've used it, and it works exceptionally well, is you get out of a meeting and you forgot to turn on the tool that was going to be able to keep track of what happened in the meeting, and you kind of go, oh, I remember the 9 things. I didn't take notes because I was talking, and all you got to do is turn on Dictation and blather into a microphone for 5 minutes. Bring that back to ChatGPT. Watch this. I've got one for you. Okay, here we go. This is going to be crazy. Okay, so I've been doing this video and I'm going to need to write a description around it. So what I need is something that describes I've been doing a video about ChatGPT and the really cool things that ChatGPT can do and a bunch of tips and tricks. And I've added a lot of extra tips and tricks, and we've found some other things in the video while we were going through it that were extra tips and tricks. And then there's some super tips at the end that I think are great. I don't know if everybody thinks they're great, but I think they're wonderful. And I kind of want everybody to think that this is super great. And I want people to be pumped up when they read it. And I want everybody to be excited about what I'm talking about and what I'm trying to present to them. I doubt they will be, but that's okay. But I want this description to sound like, oh man, are we really ready for this? All right, so I'm going to put this in here and say, watch this. Yes, I could say, make a description out of this, right? That's not the superpower. Watch this. No hands again, of course. Hey, make a good YouTube video description out of this stuff above, but keep it in my voice, please. That's the trick. All right, let's see if it sounds like me.
All right, so I've been deep in the world of ChatGPT, messing around, testing things, and oh boy, we did find some awesome stuff. This video is packed with tips and tricks, not just the usual ones. Oh no, we're talking extra tips, extra tips, and then at the very end, super tips.
So, yep, sounds like my voice, cleaned up, simplified, blather, use Dictation. I cannot say that clearly enough. I should make one video that says, use Dictation, and I sit and stare into the... Never mind. Okay, here's another one, another super tip. Number 2, it is actually an excellent one. It seems really simple. It seems so obvious. Look, here on ChatGPT, they even have a button for it. It's not always there, but it is right now. It really is something that's wonderful with ChatGPT. So let's give this one a very brief shot. Help me brainstorm ways to take better notes. And it knows some things about my world. Of course, we're back into my environment. I'm using craft and a couple of things: efficient, enjoyable, flexibility in mind, voice to text, AI summarization, sketch and scribble. And so this is just the beginning, of course. Where you would go with this is, okay, I kind of like that. I don't like this. My problem is that my notes are a little bit all over the place. I organize them, but I end up needing to organize them in multiple different ways rather than the way that I typically organize them when I'm taking the note. What was the category when I was taking the note is not the category when I need to use the note. You got any advice for something like that? So this is the idea of brainstorming is, okay, so how would we pivot that? Can we write an application? Is there another way we can do this? Do you know of any systems that I could buy? Are there techniques that I can employ? Can I go find some videos? In fact, let's try that. Can you find some videos on getting better at this context mismatch maybe? So there you go. It comes up with some things. And oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I've accidentally slipped into our next tip. Okay, we've reached the end. It's the last one. Here we go. This one is not as good as Dictation, but it's actually, you're going to use it 10 times more frequently. That's why it's at the end. That's why it's the biggest gold star. This one is search. It is a core competency, I would say now, of ChatGPT. Here is the delta. Here's the difference and the one that you want to pay attention to when you're searching. First, there's an adoption period because you're very used to those blue links. The second one is there are times you're looking for a link and there are times that you're looking for an answer. Figure out which one of those two you're doing. If you're looking for an answer, always go to ChatGPT, at least for a little while. If you're looking for a location, you want to go see something, you want to get to a site, you're trying to discover something that you didn't know existed or not out on the internet, your best bet very likely is to use Google or some other search engine. So that's the difference. If you're looking for a link, go to Google. That's it. Every other time, go to ChatGPT. Let's take a look at one. And heck no, I'm not typing anymore. I've been typing this whole video because I was trying to save that one thing for you. This would have been so much easier. It would have been a 3-minute video if I would have been able to dictate the whole time. Sorry. I know I'm talking really fast. Am I talking really fast? I bet I'm talking so fast that it's hard to watch this on like 2 times speed or something, but still, I might have to do that. That sounds kind of fun. Okay, so now we're just going to do a simple search to see how it works out. Help me find the closest place to adopt a dog near me. Okay, did pretty good. Help me find the best dog treats. And when it's product-based, it'll show you links, it'll show you pictures like you're used to. The other thing that is worth noting on these search results is this sources button. When you click it, the sources will show up on the side, all the sources that it went through to answer this question, not just the 4 that it referenced here. Search is really ready. Give it a shot. You will not be disappointed when you're trying to find answers to things. It is definitely the best place. It's also an easy way to learn how to start using ChatGPT, which is what this is all about, how to start using it in a more sophisticated way. Talk to it frequently through search, and by the way, Dictation. I don't know if I mentioned that one. Talk to it through search. Being able to follow up your search with other questions is wonderful. It's very cool to then be able to say, hey, I saw that you mentioned this wellness soft puppy bites. I could ask, what are the ingredients in that? Should these be given to older dogs or younger dogs? This is not something that's easy to do in a Google environment, but that's what this is for. So search and dictate. I don't know if I did the dictate. I keep saying that. I don't think I've said that. Okay, great. Let's wrap this up. Oh, I'm so tired. All right. I have to admit, this video was 3, 4, 5 times longer than I expected it to be. It is really long. I apologize. I am going to probably have cut everything out of it and turn it into a jump cut, supercut. So as fast as I was talking, trying to get through it as quickly as I could, it still took me to record this thing. It took me a really long time. But it really goes to show, when I was putting it together, I realized how far ChatGPT had come. It used to be this little cool thing that you could say, talk like a pirate, tell me some cool facts about the 1600s, those kinds of things. It is so much more than that now. We didn't even go through those simplistic versions of what kind of information can you get out of it. We went through different applications, different functional mechanisms on how to use it. I think these tools, and I'm saying ChatGPT, I'm really using that as an analog for any LLM these days that's a kind of a sophisticated LLM. These things have moved ahead in huge ways. And we're really just on the cusp of about to see really brand new, amazing changes coming soon. And I think where we are today would leapfrog where we were 10 years ago. If we kept this technology and we couldn't ever move forward from here, we would still be able to go like full step change from where we were 10 years ago. So it's fantastic. I'm super happy to have done this video. I hope it didn't kill you. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I know it was ridiculous. I apologize for that. And super fast, or super long and super fast, which is a weird combination. In any case, thanks for coming along, and I'll see you in the next one.